How we doing today? Almost did the same mistake as last time where I didn't record the sound during this week's weekly outlook. That's why there's no recording. Almost did that again, but no, I fixed it. So we'll have a recording tonight. How we feeling, guys? And yeah, you're right, Emil. I was in my feelings with that song, but I'm happy though. I like that calm music when I'm happy. It's just like, wow, there was a good day. You know, Shiv, you're better off blowing your account now when I'm not talking right. I don't know about you, so I can't tell you. But at least for myself, whenever I blew account, it's because I wasn't ready for them. I didn't deserve them, is how I would think about it. So I'd rather blow accounts when I don't deserve them than blow an account because I did a mistake, like an inattention mistake, when you did earn them. Gotta put in the work, gotta have that demo trading proof, right? Gotta take your time with that sort of stuff. If not, you're gonna end up ruining yourself before you can even make money on these markets. So be careful, guys. But enough psychology. Always end up rambling. What's up, guys? Very beautiful day. Very large range day again. Just give me a quick confirmation that you guys can indeed see my screen at the moment. Awesome. All right, so another very large range day on ES, same thing, almost 100 handles on ES, crazy stuff, right? And 600 handles on Nasdaq, so quite crazy. What I've noticed just recently, looking quickly, is that we've just had way larger Asian ranges. So right now, for example, we open price and we're barely at 8:30 p.m. and we're already 200 handles. And then the rest of the day acts like Asia was just like any other day. So definitely had some very volatile markets this past week and now the start of another week. So had a lot of stuff. All right. Sorry, I was looking at Emil's joke and I wasn't understanding it. I just got it. That took me a while. You're gonna need to do better next time. But other than that large range day, as always, whenever we have ranges like this, these are days that are usually a little harder to operate, but filled with opportunity. I am going to dive down very quickly to the 15-minute, but I did want to showcase that from our understanding of how price moves, after returning into that fair value gap, what did we say in the weekly outlook? Well, if we show respect of that fair value gap, we're going to dive lower, target the liquidity below. What liquidity? Well, last week's low, previous week low. Let me just remove the text on this one. And same thing on ES, but now what do we have? SMT formed. So are we tomorrow gonna go? I don't know. ES has been a little slower these past times, right? Don't know if you guys remember. We had SMT right here, right, in comparison to the SMT to the swing points here. So we had SMT and then ES catched up. So is it gonna catch up tomorrow? What is it gonna do? Well, we don't have to ask ourselves that question because we are not trading before FOMC. At least I really recommend you don't. I hope you don't. So FOMC will tell us everything we need to know about will this level be used for manipulation or for continuation lower, which would then mean distribution. So just wanted to give you guys some little insight, showcase a little bit the move that worked. But now we can dive directly into today. As I told you guys, our objective was lower, correct? I did believe we were going to go higher first, just because if you look at the highs from yesterday, we did indeed form SMT, but these are now equal highs. So later on, we can utilize these levels, and once we're so deep in the premium of that range, let's just say I utilize our latest expansion lower, right? You're so deep in premium, and even if utilizing the full range that we have just been trading within since last Thursday up to today, even if we utilize this range, we're very deep in premium. So I was expecting us to continue and go target this liquidity. Hence why I was looking for longs very early. But from that 9:30 open onwards, we went very much lower. We also had 10 a.m. news. So I'm going to go to the 1 minute chart. help us navigate these markets and showcase the 10 a.m. news. As I said, I wanted to be targeting higher in this specific case, right? So I was targeting these swing points. I wanted to long right after the news, and we had a beautiful open low, right? You have your 10 a.m. right here. That is your open. And let me just find it, open 10 a.m. I am going to showcase it on ES as well. We had beautiful open low on Nasdaq, but on ES, as we can see just from the second swing point, this was satisfactory enough to be an open high, right? So there was no SMT because I don't regard equal levels as it has taken that level. So I don't regard this as SMT, ES forming equal highs while Nasdaq is not. But if we look beforehand, you'll notice that there is SMT. So right now we're looking at Monday PM high. And we see that on ES, we have taken Monday PM high. We even went further and took the full-on Monday high on Nasdaq, which is the point where there was also SMT with ES. So it's not Monday's high for ES, but it is the same exact level. We took out both of these levels, forming furthermore SMT at the open. This is something I missed, something you should have noticed and taken into account that your objective was lower, even though it was 400 handles lower, and you might not have expected it to target it right away. You had every confluence needed. One thing I do want to share as well is how we had a beautiful London framework. So the only reason why I did not spend a lot of time, just very quickly here, I'll mark it out. London lows at these levels would it be your objective, because we took out the highs overnight right here, raid overnight Judah swing. So between 5 a.m. and 9:30, which should be right here. This whole move is your Judah swing, overnight Judah swing into London lows. You had your framework, but as you can tell, we took it right on the news. So that objective was no longer a valid target to have, but just wanted to showcase how the alignment still worked. Now on Nasdaq, we formed a lot of SMT, meaning we formed SMT right at this level. All of that just to form some more. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow with my templates tonight, but just to form some more right after. ES has been consistent at this level, that it just kept going lower, hence why I think that ES could still catch back up and not invalidate the SMT on the lows pretty much. But definitely this is where you could have gotten chopped up. I know that personally. I saw this breaker block and I wanted to enter. Wanted to enter where in the trade? Well, I already entered. So sometimes that happens. Whenever I am very confident in an idea, I will enter before the breaker has ever formed. And I had my stop specifically at this low. So I managed the trade correctly so that I could take some profits at this level and at this level. I believe I was looking at a lower time frame charts now that I'm looking at it, because I had equal highs somewhere here. I do want to just check the 30 seconds to see if that's where I was, or I was just confused and don't remember my equal highs. That is fun. Looking back at it, let me just zoom out. Looking back at it, why is this trade bad? Because your objective is lower. So even though I wanted to see price higher, it did not need to. Why? SMT, right? You had also higher time frame SMT at this level. I was misaligned with the markets. I got lucky that I managed to trade correctly so that I didn't get a stop loss. I actually managed to take some profits and to get broken even on my last contract, which I shared in general. That is the 1200 I made. I then flipped over to my evals to trade a little bit more aggressively, which led to the beautiful next setup, right? You don't flip your idea just because you get stopped out, right? I don't change my mind and say, oh, well, I no longer want to be long just because I get stopped out. But twice SMT retesting 10 a.m. open, ES remaining far from the 10 a.m. open with the displacement that it just followed through. And then what is my confirmation? Well, once we start invalidating bullish arrays, meaning I'm looking at bullish fair value gaps, and we start invalidating them, and more specifically, discount bullish arrays, even of this tiny 1 minute range. This is what we would call a change in the state of delivery, which is just showcasing that we have a lower objective. Whatever it is, it might be these two tiny swing lows, or it could be extremely further, right? But we had a small area of consolidation with something I just didn't showcase that I do want to showcase. What do I say about consolidation and how to avoid it is when you have SMT on both sides of the range, right? Which you did at this case. So you would have avoided, for example, taking a long of here because of that specific rule. But now you're invalidating bullish arrays in discount as stated. Let me just put a nicer color on this just so it's a little bit easier to see. And let's put this behind. There we go. That is your signal that you can now start looking, well, that you have a lower objective. And as we saw from our higher time frame chart, it aligns, right? Here we can barely see it, but we did go a tick below, which means what? Well, this full range is a breaker. And now I'm going to be more precise with that level and utilize the last down close candle. Why am I not using this one? Because this swing point is higher than this one, meaning that this is just us trading inside of the bigger range. It's just in case you guys were wondering why I'm using this specific swing point and this breaker instead of using this final candle, which is also a breaker, just a breaker inside a breaker. I'm going to use a larger asset. Then what is your closest proximity, right? You're always going to be using a fair value gap or an inverted fair value gap, but you're going to take the closest one. So why am I not entering on the fair value gap? Well, because there's an inverse fair value gap right here. So you actually possibly could have entered on that candle. Now, due to the fact that we don't have real-time data, we don't know if it went to go take out that low first and then retrace higher, which would mean it traded back into the inverted fair value gap, or if it did the opposite, right? It traded higher, then went lower, then just retraced at that level, which would also give you an entry just because the close is on the line. But we're going to move it to the next candle just to be safe. Inverse fair value gap, order block. As always, guys, 3PD array stop loss rule. With these more volatile markets, I've noticed that the stops are a little wider than usual. So maybe for some of you, that means that you can't trade minis anymore, right? If I'm trying to risk $200 on my trade, I can't have a 37.5 handle stop. So what am I going to do? I'm going to switch over to micros, right? Just keep it very simple, guys. Now, we have explained our setup. We have determined our entry, but we did it in the wrong way, right? If I'm shorting here, where am I going to go for low-hanging fruit? Well, in a range like this, which what I mean is a large range in both relation to price and time, instead of going to my 5-minute chart where I have 20 different ranges within this move, I like to refer to my intraday chart and look for an intraday PD array to offer retracement. So I'm going to use my premium and discount of this range and look for the first discount in efficiency, which is what? Well, it's this swing point. But even now in my 15-minute chart, I have a lot of information. So that is where you can go even higher. I believe it was in a 4-hour chart. No, 4-hour chart, I was targeting the liquidity. So that means it was the hourly. Yes, because on my setup right here, if I just show you guys, I have, now that it's full of drawings, I still need to do my journal, but I have the hourly chart with the 4-hour power of 3. Hence my confusion. Looking at the hourly chart, where is the first one? Well, it's at the same spot, right? So it just aligns here. And if you want a clearer picture, it is the first discount in efficiency of my 1-hour range. So I wanted to refer to my full move of the day, which, yes, this is 10 p.m., but this is technically Asian session. So I do regard it as the same day. That was the goal. And then you gain your low-hanging fruit objective, which basically aligns with London low. But what's the problem here? It already got taken out. So I understand that this trade is lower probability because of that, just because my retracement objectives, meaning that if we went low and this is a retracement, is already hit. Hence the idea also of why I wanted to go long here. I said, oh, well, this down move is a retracement, so now we're ready to go higher, but it will always follow higher time frame objective, and clearly it has. a lot of words to just say that your objective has already been hit. So what are you going to target? Well, you're going to utilize standard deviations in confluence with liquidity, right? Anytime you don't have a clear objective, that's where you go to. And if you look at the 2 to 2.5 levels, I am just going to draw the 4-hour liquidity I was talking to you guys about. And just so you guys have a little sense of what I'm talking about, bearish order block. Oh, not bullish, bearish order block. And so we're going to target liquidity. Respect of a bearish inefficiency in premium tells you that we are going lower. Where are we going to go? We're going to go target liquidity within our most recent range, which I am referring to this external range liquidity. Students know all about it. If we go right here, this sell side was our 4-hour swing low. I am going to mark it out as such so that you guys don't get confused with all the drawings I'm currently having to draw. 4-hour external range liquidity. And what's funny is it aligns with your reversal range. So this is what I'd call a high probability objective whenever you don't have a mechanical retracement objective, right? So low-hanging fruit objective, because your range is too large or we've already hit it. Doesn't mean your trade is bad, it just means you need to adjust. And in cases like these, I like to take profit at one standard deviation of my breaker. I keep moving it because I'm not able to double click on it. So let me just fix it and put the 1 standard deviations. Now in this specific case, if you look at 1 standard deviation, 1.71R, that is beautiful for just a small take profit, and that is your bread and butter. That 1 standard deviation is your bread and butter objective. ICT talks in length about that, and I'm actually going to have even more data for you guys coming specifically about the objectives, right? Well, depending on the vote that's currently going on this week. But all that to say that to your final objective, you had 3.49R, 1.7R at your first take profit is awesome, right? Be happy with less, low hanging fruit. And now you could have held all the way down to 4 for another take profit if you have the leverage to do so, or for a full position close. Now on a day like this that I've seen it expand that aggressively, and if you look at this right here, this dotted line that I am going to bring a little bit, I'm going to bring the width up, is my midnight opening price. So once we flip that midnight opening price and keep expanding lower, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have a daily close lower. This was, we had no visible accumulation after midnight open, so I would frame this as accumulation. This whole move higher was manipulation, confirmed by the SMT and the higher time frame point of interest, my 4-hour order block. And then once we flip the open, that is my confirmation. I have daily bearish power of 3. My distribution is lower, so you could have left a runner to just allow it to head towards previous week's low, which was an insane objective, right? As I always say, if you miss the first entry, you shouldn't take part and try and look for another entry, because that just leads to FOMO. So being at a midnight opening price here, did I take this specific unicorn breaker block right here and then overlapping fair value gap at the midnight open? No. And I never would recommend to use it, because you're pretty much already at your objective, which means that, well, basically the fact that it's not accelerating to it already at this point tells me that it's lower probability, implied dealing range, but it's still a setup, right? So it is a lower probability setup, but still a high probability setup. And if you are very confident in your objectives, and if we look here, you'll notice from the risk to reward, because it did allow for a tighter stop. Is it at least 2R to your objective? No, but you can let it run, what was it, like 5 more handles, and that is 2R. So that is a valid trade. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, right? Breaker block here, overlapping PD array, and there was SMT, I believe. No SMT. Possibly SMT on the lows, actually. Yes, SMT on the lows, so lower probability. But it was a setup, so I didn't want to showcase it, just not the conservative approach setup. Glad you took it, Terrell. If it paid, it paid, right? On a classic sell day like this, pretty much any short you can take is going to work out 90% of the time. Just study these trending days. I love them. They're always my home run days. who could have predicted today's events? You know, insanity 400 point dump. We ended the day with 600. Well, technically, we're not even done because I'm using the New York for the range. But if I just remove the New York and go in replay mode at the settlement, just so we can see it. So right here, settlement, we had a 594 handle range. So pretty crazy stuff. And yeah, 200 handles outside of the range, and then that 600 handle run. But 500 very quickly. It's some crazy stuff, right? Some crazy stuff. But I feel like once you're a profitable trader and you understand that no one can take that away from you, that's when you actually realize that I don't give a fuck what happens in the markets. Because I know that with my abilities, my skills, I will be able to get money out of it no matter what. And even if I hit a dry streak and not even a week, I get a month of negative. I know that the next month or possibly the one after that, I'm going to get back into profit, get out of that drawdown because I am confident in my model with 25 years of data to back it. Right? So at that point, it's like I don't even have emotions anymore related to that. I just don't care. Soon, Wolfie. Hopefully. We'll see with the vote. Just let it run. Yep. Truthfully, today there was one opportunity in my book, which was you are shorting right after news, right? And possibly you got stopped out before just because of the double test of the SMT rate that we showcased. SMT first and then SMT again. Possibly got stopped out. It doesn't mean the idea was invalid. If it stops you out on SMT, which happens pretty often, to be honest, if it stops you out on SMT, then that's part of the game, right? It happens sometimes. Does that mean your idea is no longer valid? No, it actually means that it's even better because there's SMT present if there wasn't before, right? Or that is just as good because I have not closed above this swing point, which shows an indication that it has just been swept, right? That is not the main understanding, but just in general, I can say it just broke that level. It did not expand through that level. So I understand that, hey, we have lower objectives, at least short term. And yes, you can say a bunch of shit about how you could have taken that long. And when you look in comparison, that's still like a 150 handle move or some 200 handle move, sure. But that's high resistance. Do you want to be in these conditions or do you want to be in these conditions? Right? So why would I talk about something that I would never trade? And you guys saw me live, right? I said it. I'm not looking to take any sort of long, which would be a retracement into the range because I don't expect it to go very far. I told that in general. I don't know if you guys were, but that's it. Take your time, Wolfie. Don't worry about it. But on that note, you still had some possibilities for I'm looking for a lunch trade. I really did not look. Well, you did have a rage after one, so you had a lunch trade going higher, and as you can see from this lunch high, you did reach your objective. Let me zoom in here, and there is no unicorn entry up until very, very late here. And at this point, once you are here, I'll plop the implied dealing range so you guys can see. Where is it? Where is implied DR? There it is. So once I'm past equilibrium, which means what? Once I'm past 50% of the way to my first objective, I'm not looking for a trade anymore. So with this breaker block, if I'm taking an entry at any point here within a unicorn, well, actually, I'm looking at this inverse fair value gap. So you could have taken an entry on this candle, but no, it's not deep enough. Not deep enough. Oh, well, right here. So there was a possibility, and that left for an 84 handle run. But as I said, if you're really looking for a long on a day like this, to me at least, it's just because you didn't manage to get in the shorts and you really want that money because you're mad that you missed that. Yeah, true, Terrell. Markets are random anyway. Don't worry about it. Yeah, well, as I stated at the beginning, right, we've seen Asia with quite larger ranges around 200 handle these past 2 days, and even last week, that's what we saw. So definitely the markets are very volatile right now, getting into August, which is honestly a surprise, but I mean, it's election year, right? The closer we get to the elections, the more volatile and the more fuckery we're gonna see. I'm just trying to stack enough money so that I really don't care about the elections, to be honest. We don't all have that luxury, but I'm probably going to take some time off of trading at that point, or just deleverage, right? So just spend some time on a personal account with like something like 10K in there and just try and grind the small accounts, get used to it. Do you guys have any questions about today? I just wanted to showcase, to ask you guys basically, because I went pretty quickly over what happened. Because in my mind, it's pretty straightforward. We went down towards previous week low. After we took out previous week's low, we retraced into the range, which did leave for some opportunity. But to me, the real opportunity was lower. So that's why I decided not to comment too much on that. Not seeing any of you guys type, so I'm guessing everything was clear. All right. Oh, I'm seeing Wolf A type. I'll give you a second. We have news or something at that 359 candle. I don't know. There was definitely no high impact news, but there might have been some sort of announcement or something, maybe a rates release, whatever it is, or maybe it's just fuckery at the close. That's just how it is sometimes. There's nothing to say. We're in volatile markets. Sometimes it's just going to go very crazy for 2 or 3 minutes. You just have to make sure you're aligned with the markets. And anyways, I don't trade that final hour because it is extremely low probability. So I saw someone send a Joshu's thread about the macros and stuff. And yes, the last hour macro is one of the most volatile macros, but volatility does not always equate to high probability. Volatility equals big ranges and opportunities. But if these opportunities are 15% win rate, I don't want them, pretty much. So just keep that in mind, guys. I have not traded the PM session on a real account for a few months now. And I'm always sending lunch trades, right? It's very high probability, but anything other than a lunch trade to me is just because the morning you didn't get nothing. 70 to 80% probability. Well, you're not going to get that at the end of the PM session. On that note, guys, very nice talking to you guys again. We're going to have another PA review, right? Every day but Thursday this week. So I'll see you all tomorrow. I wish you all luck. Please, please be careful if you're trading before FOMC. I would highly recommend you wait until post FOMC before engaging with price. For myself, I might just look for a small scalp to get a trading day on the account I just passed today. But other than that, I'm not going to be requesting a lot up until Friday. Friday is when I expect the beauty to happen. If you trade before FOMC, you're gambling, 100%. All right, guys, have fun. Have a great night. Good luck tomorrow. We'll talk more on Wednesday, tomorrow. Have a good one, guys.